American television great Michael Landon won hearts with his appearances in Bonanza, Little House on the Prairie, and Highway to Heaven, but his impact lives on. Landon, a father of 9, was known for his work ethic and his battle with pancreatic cancer, which killed him. Landon's pleasant personality and family values continued to affect the entertainment world, with his offspring working in creative industries. Landon's path from growing celebrity to death is full of intriguing tales and poignant stories that show his tenacity, kindness, and lasting influence on fans worldwide. Discover this Western hero's lesser-known facts and lasting impact on television history. His early years were difficult. When Michael Landon was born in 1936, his name was Eugene Maurice Orowitz. He was named after his father, an actor and a theater manager. Although it is not precisely a name that suits a Hollywood star, he was named after his father. Before becoming a mother, his mother Peggy had a career as a dancer and comedian. She did not realize that she was laying the groundwork for her son's future success. Additionally, the fact that Michael was Jewish may have been inferred from his name. During the celebration of Landon's bar mitzvah, his family says that he went through a lot of hassles studying for the big event, which included bicycling to a nearby town every day to learn how to read Hebrew and recite prayers. To anybody else, his life seemed to be normal and pleasant. On the other hand, Michael's doting mother kept a significant secret from him that would alter the course of Eugene's life. Forced to grow up. However, she suffered from severe clinical depression, which in turn led her to have suicidal impulses. Michael's mother was an intelligent lady who suffered from this condition. As a young boy, Landon was always concerned that his mother might take her own life. His grievances were well-founded. Throughout a vacation with her family, Peggy made a conscious decision to step into the water and attempt to kill herself. Michael was the one who stepped in and saved her life by intervening in the situation. Even though Landon was just a youngster at the time, he was consistently wetting the bed due to the worry and anxiety that he had for his mother's health. Peggy decided against going to therapy and instead presented his soiled linens to the neighborhood by hanging them outside the window for everyone to see. As a result of his humiliation and embarrassment, Landon's daily routine consisted of rushing home to eliminate them before his peers passed by. A record-breaking athlete. After reaching high school, Landon's interests switched from academics to athletics, even though he had an average intelligence score of 159 since he was very intelligent. The young man joined the track and field team at that location and quickly established himself as the squad's leading javelin thrower. With a pitch that traveled 193 feet and 4 inches, he broke the record for the longest throw ever made by a high school student in the United States. This accomplishment took place in the year 1954. The athletic ability that Landon displayed on the field resulted in his being awarded a scholarship to attend the University of Southern California. Therefore, the adolescent finished third from the bottom of his class, since his grades had deteriorated to such a substantial degree. Landon's javelin throwing at USC was unfortunately limited to a brief period. Because he had an injury to his shoulder, he could not continue participating in the sport, which resulted in his losing his scholarship. Choosing a name. The sudden demise of Eugene Orowitz's aspirations to compete in athletics prompted him to withdraw from his studies at the University of Southern California. He decided to pursue a career in acting, following in his father's footsteps. On the other hand, rather than seeking advice from a representative, he worked as a gas station attendant at a service station just across the street from the Warner Brothers studios. It turned out that his plan was a winner. Soon enough, a local talent agency contacted the gorgeous gas technician and offered his services. He was intrigued by the opportunity. He realized he needed to pick a more appropriate stage name, and he settled on Michael Landon, which he discovered in a phone book. The first part that Landon ever acted in was in a television pilot that was produced in 1955 entitled Luke and the Tenderfoot. In this program, Landon and Leonard Nimoy portrayed the roles of rowdy boxers. The project was shelved and never broadcast, even though they had shot 2 episodes. Officially a working actor. Ironically, the actor who got his name from a phone book earned his first leading part in 1956 on a telephone-time television series. He played the character in the episode The Mystery of Caspar Hauser. As the imposing young man he was, he worked consistently throughout the following several years, appearing in several noteworthy parts and a few lesser performances that needed to be acknowledged. The Rifleman, The Adventures of Jim Bowie, Tales of Wells Fargo, The Court of Last Resort, The Texan, Wanted Dead or Alive, and Rose of the Rio Bravo are just some of the westerns that Michael has been in on television. He has also secured several other television roles related to the genre. He began his career in the film industry with supporting parts in several films until obtaining the main role in I Was a Teenage Werewolf in 1957, which became his most tremendous success. This part served as the impetus for him to pursue a career in singing. Pop star in the making. Michael Landon debuted in the film industry with the film I Was a Teenage Werewolf. Because it was released as part of a double feature alongside Invasion of the Saucermen, the film quickly became a success, resulting in the studio earning significant money at the box office. Be Patient With Me was the B-side of the 45 RPM single that Hollywood's newest adolescent idol recorded. The A-side of the 45 RPM single had the track Give Me a Little Kiss, Will Ya, Huh? While the B-side featured the other single. To capitalize even more on the success of his first picture, some of the 45s that were sold gave credit to the teenage werewolf as the artist, rather than Landon himself. The fact that the young actor released a second song did not prevent him from doing so. In 1964, he collaborated with RCA Victor Records to create the Linda is Lonesome Without You recording. Because they were converted to compact discs, Landon's singles are still in circulation, even though his acting career has always been more successful than his singing one. Prematurely Gray. Before Landon reached his early 20s, he was already well on his way to becoming a genuine celebrity in the entertainment industry. Even though his chiseled features were a success with producers and directors, the actor's stunning head of chocolate hair made him stand out. As a result, you can understand his dismay when he started graying before his time. As a result of the fact that he was still being cast in minor roles and did not have a contract for a recurring role, Landon went to the health food shop and bought hair color to conceal his gray hair on his own. His endeavor, however, could have been more successful. During the shoot in the sun, the director saw that Landon's over-the-counter dye had a violet highlight. As a result, Landon was compelled to seek a professional hair colorist to restore his mane to its natural shade of brown. Meet Little Joe. Landon was hired in the character of Little Joe Cartwright in the television series Bonanza in 1959, which marked the beginning of his recurring role. Bonanza was the first television program to be shown in color, and it became an instant smash, reaching the top spot in the Nielsen ratings for 3 consecutive years. Landon was also a huge success. Because he was the show's breakthrough star, he got more fan letters than any other cast member, leading the producer to believe he could not be replaced. As a devoted member of the crew, Landon appeared in 428 of the 431 episodes produced for the program. He was performing not just by the time the 14th season rolled around, but also by writing and directing. His most significant work as a writer was the episode of Forever, which lasted 2 hours and was about a wedding. In the beginning, the screenplay was written to showcase Hoss's wedding. After Dan Blocker passed away in 1972, Landon revised the tale to center on his character while also inserting a monument to Hoss. This was done to honor Hoss. A paw like no other. In 1973, Michael Landon became the most popular father figure on television. In the year that followed the cancellation of Bonanza, the actor was selected to play the role of Charles Ingalls in a different NBC pilot called Little House on the Prairie. Once again, the series was a critical and commercial success, nominated for several Emmys and Golden Globes. NBC rewrote the sitcom to concentrate on the Wilder family and Walnut Grove after it had been famous for 8 seasons. Landon continued to serve as the executive producer, director, and writer for Little House, A New Beginning. even though his character was no longer featured in television shows. Following the program's conclusion in 1983, the producers faced a difficult situation. Even though they had said they would return the land to its original state when the shooting was over, the whole town of Walnut Grove was nonetheless constructed. As an alternative to tearing down each structure, Landon proposed that they bomb the entire town to smithereens. The city of Walnut Grove vanished with the simple press of a button. Behind the scenes. It is possible that there was a reason why Michael Landon was so ready to blow up the set of Little House on the Prairie, since some difficult situations occurred behind the scenes. In the book titled Bright Lights, Prairie Dust, Loss and Love from Little House's Ma, the actress Karen Grassel described the improper conduct of Landon, who played the role of Pa in the television show Little House. Even though he played the role of a good-natured family guy on the program, Landon always talked about his revived libido when getting ready for the set. Mike started to become ebullient at the makeup table, crowing about the advantages of bee pollen for the aging man, Grassel writes. Landon divulged the specifics of his sex life after finding a natural supplement that improved his energy. Grassel believes that Landon became more open about his sexual life once he discovered the substance. After that, the cast discovered that their co-star was having an affair with stand-in Cindy Clerico, a young actress 20 years his junior. Shock and disappointment. Landon's affair with Clerico turned into a scandal in Hollywood, which impacted the close-knit family that worked on the television show Little House on the Prairie. Even though Grassel referred to Clerico as a nice young woman who wore cute, colorful tops and tight jeans that had been made popular by Charlie's Angels, she and the other members of her cast were dissatisfied with Landon because he had cheated on his wife, Lynn. Particularly, Grassel felt compassion for Lynn, as she wrote, "I knew his wife. I had been in their home. She had been kind to me, and I thought about her children, 3 still at home, and younger than Cindy." Landon's affair harmed his reputation for being spotless, caused him to lose endorsement deals, and wreaked havoc on his relationships with his friends and family. Not even that was the worst part of it. Additionally, the actor could not win back the respect of his on-screen daughter, Melissa Gilbert, who played Laura Ingalls throughout the program. Forced to take sides. The relationship between Melissa Gilbert and Michael Landon was one of a kind. Landon took on the position of her surrogate father when she experienced the loss of her father when she was 11 years old. He provided her with guidance, love, and support. Melissa went on vacation with Landon and his family and spent weekends at their house. She once said, "The house was huge. We ran like banshees through that house, and Mike would hide behind doors and jump out and scare us." Melissa wrote about her experience in her memoir, Prairie Tale, which recalled how her mother informed her about the breakup between Landon and Lynn and how his actions hurt her. Although she first reprimanded her father figure by declining the invitation to his 3rd wedding, the two of them reunited once he became sick, and she continued to be by his side throughout the process. She gave birth to a boy after he passed away, and she called him Michael in honor of her surrogate father. 3rd time's a charm. The year 1983 was the year when Landon and Clerico finally said "I do" to one another. At the beginning of their first year of marriage, they became parents for the first time to a little girl they called Jennifer Rachel. Their son, Sean Matthew, was born 3 years after they had been married. Landon was now the proud father of 9 children, and the birth of these 2 youngsters made him all the more proud. The actor tied the knot for the 3rd time with Clerico, making it his 3rd marriage overall. From 1956 to 1962, Landon was married to Dodie Levy Fraser. Before adopting a newborn called Josh in 1960, he adopted Mark, the biological son of his previous wife. In 1960, the couple adopted another child. After the dissolution of that marriage, Landon began a relationship with Marjorie Lynn Noe, whom he eventually married in 1963. Landon became a father to 5 children as a result of this union. Cheryl Lynn, who is Lynn's biological child from her previous marriage, Leslie Ann, who was born in 1962, Michael Jr., who was born in 1964, Shauna Lee, who was born in 1971, and Christopher Bowe, who was born in 1975. A Perfect Little Angel. Landon began a new chapter in his career with the television series Highway to Heaven, which he started after the smoke from Little House on the Prairie had cleared, both figuratively and literally. Although he was the actor who played the primary character, Jonathan Smith, he also served as the show's creator, executive producer, writer, and director, in addition to playing the role of Jonathan Smith. Because this was the only program that Landon ever owned, he went to great lengths to ensure that all 111 episodes were produced and that he created them. It was in 1984 that the series was aired, and the last episode, titled Merry Christmas from Grandpa, was shown in December 1989. In the previous scene of the series, a group of youngsters performed chorale at the bedside of a sick man. Jennifer, who was Landon's daughter, was chosen to debut on the big screen as the leading young angel. As soon as Jennifer reached adulthood, she followed in her father's footsteps and became a career actor. She has been in recurrent parts on television shows such as Yellowstone, Animal Kingdom, and As the World Turns. A tragic diagnosis. Even though Landon claimed to be a strong drinker and a chain smoker, he seldom complained of physical difficulties and never absented himself from work due to illness. Despite this, the actor acknowledged that he was experiencing a terrible headache in 1991 and consented to see a physician. Following an extensive battery of diagnostic procedures, Landon was given a dreadful diagnosis. He was suffering from a very advanced and aggressive type of pancreatic cancer, an exocrine adenocarcinoma, a kind of cancer that affects the tissues and blood vessels around the pancreas, was the precise diagnosis that was made during the examination. While the medical professionals informed him that his illness was incurable and deadly, Landon decided to maintain an optimistic attitude and asked his followers to hope that he would be an exception and survive. The actor finally succumbed to his disease on July 1, 1991, in the comfort of his home in Malibu, even though he maintained a cheerful attitude and received support from his family. Hillside Memorial Park Cemetery in Culver City, California, was the location where his remains were laid to rest in a mausoleum that his family maintained. Lesson learned. Leslie, Landon's daughter, had an interview with People on the 30th anniversary of her father's death, during which she reminisced on her father's life and the devastating conclusion to his life. "We just had the impression that he was a superhero," Matthews reported. "His presence was larger than life. We are having a hard time accepting that 30 years have passed." Leslie noted that her father's rigorous work ethic may have prompted him to disregard the early warning signals. "There are times when it feels like it was just yesterday that he was here," she said. "If my father was not feeling well, or if anything did not feel quite right, he tended to disregard it in the hope that it would go away on its own. He had a lot on his plate, and he was a guy who was always working hard." She went on to explain that her father's passing had taught his 9 children that their health should be a priority and that symptoms should not be disregarded. "I think his health got put on the back burner," she said. Gone, but not forgotten. After just 3 months after being diagnosed with his condition, Michael Landon passed away at the age of 54. The abrupt fall in his health left his family, friends, and community members in a state of shock and grief. The community facility located at Bluffs Park in Malibu was renamed the Michael Landon Center to pay tribute to the actor and his contributions to the world. Michael Landon, Memories with Laughter and Love, is the title of a commemorative documentary by his son, who also bears his name. The documentary features members of his family, friends, and past co-stars. Melissa Gilbert added that Landon was paternal and made her feel incredibly safe. Landon's sense of humor was praised by multiple participants who remembered incidents such as toads secreted in Landon's mouth and his trip to the pizza restaurant dressed as a superhero. As a result, we have a reasonable amount of confidence that Landon would have found it amusing when a guy from New Jersey tried to construct an inflatable copy of the actor that was 20 feet tall in his honor. Friends till the end. The lengthy career that Michael Landon had in Hollywood allowed him to make a lot of acquaintances. His co-star on Bonanza, David Canary, referred to his castmate as fearless. He may have learned to be fearless from his old friend, Chuck Norris, who instructed him in the discipline and tactics used in martial arts. Another possibility is that he followed in the footsteps of his best buddy, Johnny Carson, who was the only one of his kind. Despite working in a notoriously cutthroat field, Landon and Carson maintained a long-lasting relationship filled with laughter, practical jokes, and mutual support. Landon felt comfortable enough to come on The Tonight Show to openly address his fight with cancer 2 months before he passed away. This was because he depended on Johnny as his confidant. However, Johnny passed away. The look can't be completely depressing. When the two men went out to dinner together, Carson told Landon about a practical prank that Landon had perpetrated on him. The most effective treatment is laughter. Loyal to the network. Michael Landon was devoted to one network, NBC, throughout his career, unlike most performers who leave their networks searching for new opportunities. All of the actor's series, including Bonanza and Little House on the Prairie, were shown exclusively on NBC, beginning with his initial appearances in guest parts on the network's westerns in 1956 and continuing until the last episode of Highway to Heaven was broadcast. After the cancellation of Highway to Heaven, the connection that had existed between Landon and the management of the network for the previous 34 years unfortunately deteriorated. In 1991, the actor, producer, writer, and director made his first move to CBS to appear in a 2-hour pilot called Us. This was the first time in his life that he had ever relocated to CBS. In the event that Landon was diagnosed with cancer, it had already been decided that the pilot would serve as the basis for a series that would feature him. The upcoming project was put on hold due to the unfortunate events. An accomplished actor. Even though Michael Landon was never regarded as a movie star or a part of the it crowd in Hollywood, he was one of the most talented and well-known performers in the industry's history. These days, Bonanza and Little House on the Prairie are regarded as two of the most iconic television shows ever produced. In addition to his role as a performer in those programs, he was also the driving force behind the creative process behind the scenes. During his career, Landon made an astounding 22 appearances on the cover of TV Guide, which places him in second place for the most appearances, behind only the outstanding Lucille Ball. In 1979, he was nominated for a Golden Globe Award in the Best Actor category for his performance on the television show Little House on the Prairie. 8 years later, in 1984, he was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Worth a pretty penny. Michael Landon achieved financial success through several careers as an actor, writer, producer, and director. Given the current state of the economy, his net worth was equivalent to $40 million at the time of his death. If he had lived, he would have been 86 years old and had a net worth of around $100 million. In addition to his career as an entertainer, Landon was also very skilled in real estate acquisition. He received $6 million for selling his Malibu property, which had 7 bedrooms and 70 feet of coastline, in 1989. After selling their remodeled version of the house, the purchasers could walk away with $40 million. A mansion that is 9,000 square feet in size and is located on an equestrian ranch in Malibu Canyon is the home that he bequeathed to his wife. Cindy has spent $7.5 million on purchasing and renovating a property close to Broad Beach in Malibu, even though this is her principal abode. This home was purchased by Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy, in 2019 for $15.7 million. Anticipatory words. Throughout his career, Michael Landon was well known for his acting. We had a lot of respect for him as Jonathan Smith, and we adored him as Little Joe. We looked up to him as Pa and were in awe of him as Jonathan Smith. The majority of people are unaware that he was a good writer. When Landon was not writing and directing the plots for his successful television series, he was also writing and directing Sam's Son, a film released in 1984 and partially based on his boyhood. It was included in the narrative that he struggled with bedwetting and that his mother made an attempt to humiliate him with this issue. Despite this, the lines he has written for Little House on the Prairie as a eulogy for Julie Sanderson are considered his most prophetic statements to date. Melissa Gilbert read the exact words during the memorial service for Landon. "Remember me with smiles and laughter, for that is how I'll remember you all. If you can only remember me with tears, then don't remember me at all."
If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon